Okay, yesterday we left off in the middle of the dinam of tzedakah. The highest level of tzedakah is if somebody's about to go down in business or whatever, and you help him out that he doesn't fall. Like we all know, when somebody's tripping, it's easier to help him out than if they fell on the floor and then you have to pick them up. It's much harder. So the highest level of tzedakah, it says, is to help somebody who nebuch is going down and they need help to get them back up before they become completely poor. So therefore, what should you do? You have to give him either proper tzedakah, at least lend him money, make a partnership with him, do something that he should be able to be helped, that he shouldn't have to rely on people and so on. Okay, now, ideally, a person should give tzedakah as hidden as possible, meaning matam b'seisa. That's the highest level of tzedakah. In fact, the Rambam, when he discusses the 8 levels of tzedakah, one of them is that the giver doesn't know who he's giving to, and the taker doesn't know who he's getting from. And there's an advantage of each one. Because if I know I'm giving you tzedakah, then I feel that, oh, you're indebted to me. Or if the person is getting tzedakah and they know for who it's from, so again, they feel indebted. The best way is, in fact, the Gemara tells a story about many great Amiroim of the Gemara. One story is that he used to come to a poor man's house, throw money, and then run away. And this went on for a very long time. And the family finally wanted to see who's doing this to them. So he put the money, he ran away, they chased him. And he ran into a burning fire. Not to embarrass these people. A miracle happened, he didn't get burned. So the ideal level of tzedakah is you don't know who's giving it, you don't know who's taking it. In fact, you have other stories in the Gemara that people would walk in the street and they get tzedakah, like fall out from the back, and they would drop money in the back and they would just keep looking forward that they shouldn't see who's getting the money. But that's the ideal situation. Now, halacha says, what happens if by publicizing you're giving tzedakah, that will encourage other people of doing it. So then halachically you should publicize the mitzvah. And therefore people speak in halacha about names on buildings or on rooms or whatever it is, because that encourages other people to give, and that's the ultimate level of people giving tzedakah. Now you especially have to be careful with poor Talmidei Chachamim, or the Chidorites, even other poor people that have exceptional Maisim Tovim. You know, good people that do a lot of chesed. So those people, you have to give them tzedakah more than before other people. Another says like this: if you're able to do business with him, you do business with him. You're able to make a partnership with him, or like it says, if the Talmid Chacham doesn't want to take money, so you say, okay, I'm going to invest in your business, and you give him cheap, or you invest cheap and you give him back a big dividend. Whatever it is, you then make it in a way that's bakovidik, like they say, respectful, that the person shouldn't think he's actually taking tzedakah. In fact, it says, the Gemara says, that whoever helps out the tzaddikim, he merits to sit in the yeshiva Shomayla, in the heavenly yeshiva, and like the Gemara says, all the Nevi'im, what was their desire? To do business with Talmidei Chachamim, to marry off the children Talmidei Chachamim. This was the whole goal of people connecting them to the tzaddikim. Next is like this. A person should do everything possible not to take tzedakah. They should do everything not to make, to be able to take tzedakah. And in fact, like it says in the Gemara, say Shabbat Chachol, but it's Tzadich Lebrius. Gemara says you should better make your Shabbos into a weekday meal. But now you don't have 3 meals, you have not regular Shabbos-ika food, and rather than rely on people. But in the beginning of Alter Rebbe Shechonah Halachos Shabbos, and this is also the poskim bring this down, they ask a contradiction. One Gemara says, "Asay Shabbat Chachol Batastarich Lebrius." It's better to make your Shabbos into a weekday rather than rely on tzedakah from other people. And yet, another Gemara says that the parnas of a Yid is already established on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur how much money you're going to get, except the expenses of Shabbos and Yom Tov. Then there's another Gemara that says, Hashem says to a poor person, Lava alai vani pereya. Hashem says to a poor person, if you don't have money for Shabbos, Hashem says, borrow, I'll pay it back. Borrow alai for me, in other words, borrow my cheshbon, I'll pay it back. So the answer to the question is like this. If the person doesn't have any money whatsoever, that's when the Gemara says, Asay Shabbat chochel v'atitztarech labrius. It's better to make your Shabbos into a weekday rather than to rely on people. But the Gemara says, Lava alai vani pereya, borrow on me and on my account and I'll pay it back. So that refers to a person that has assets. He doesn't have cash flow. So right now they didn't have credit cards in those days. He couldn't buy food for Shabbos because he didn't have any money, he didn't have any cash. So over there, but assets he had. So over there, Hashem says, borrow on me and I'll pay it back. There's a famous story told about a very big gvir that lent somebody money. A businessman asked him for a big loan. So the businessman said to him, who's going to guarantee the loan? I want an order, I want a guarantor for the loan. So the businessman said, God is the guarantor. Hashem is my guarantor. The rich man said, a deal. Hashem is the guarantor. Fine, I accept him. But eventually the guy came back to pay the money to the rich man that he borrowed the money from. The rich man said, I'm sorry, it was paid back already. What do you mean it was paid back already? I didn't pay you back. The guarantor paid it back. He said, my business went very well. Hashem paid me back more than the amount I even lent you. So he said the loan was paid back by the guarantor. I don't know if every lender would go for this, but that rich man was a great man. Okay, and therefore it says a person should even work any menial type of job, just to be able not to have to rely on people. But another din is like this. A person that doesn't need tzedakah, but he fools people that he does. It says, Ein emes, Hashem promises you, before you die, you're going to need to go collect tzedakah. Because you're faking it. So Hashem says, the truth, you're faking now that you're poor when you're not. Hashem says, I'm going to make it that you have to go collect. But he says like this, a person that needs to take tzedakah, but doesn't, and he says, that's sheifich damim, he's murdering. It's murder. He's chayv benafshi. In other words, a young person that can go work, he should rather work any job as long as not to have to rely on tzedakah. But a person, like it says, an old man, a sick man that's not able to work, and they need tzedakah and they refuse to take it, so then the din is, it's like sheifich damim, and whoever takes and doesn't, and Hashem says the other way. And if you do it and you don't take tzedakah, Hashem promises that before you die, you're going to have enough money to support other people. So basically, a person should try to rely on Hashem, not to take tzedakah, and definitely not cheat people to say, there's another famous story. There was the guy who came around in a certain city, wherever it was, that he says, Nebuch, I have a wife, I'm a widower, and I have Nebuch a bunch of orphans, and they're sick, and this. So a guy gave him a large amount of money. His kid said to him, why are you giving him so much money? You know he's real, you don't even know who he is. Maybe the whole thing is a fake. Or what are you giving a lot of money like this? He says, I'm not judging. I don't want Hashem to judge me, I'm not judging. But I happened to go to Eretz Yisrael where this person who collected the money was, and he sees there's a wife, and there's kids, and everybody's healthy. So this kid said to the father, you see, the guy took you for a ride. So the father says, Baruch Hashem, I thought the wife and the kids were sick. Baruch Hashem, they're all healthy. It depends on your approach. He said, wow, Baruch Hashem, they're healthy. I thought they were sick. That's the way the story has to go with tzedakah.